Hey, folks, it's Monday, June the 3rd, and I'm not going to be able to get home for my father's funeral. And so I'm going to do a little eulogy here just to kind of process this myself. My dad was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania. He's the son of a cop, fourth generation American. Um, Played football in high school, and at 19, he joined the Air Force. Supply sergeant stationed in Nice, France. He started the base shooting club. We still have the 1957 Remington pump action shotgun that he bought at the PX there in Nice and used to win the first two trap shoot competitions. And he happened to be on leave on the French Riviera when Grace Kelly got married, and he fell in with some American reporters who got him into the wedding. One of the proudest possessions he had was the cover of the Scranton Times that had a picture from the wedding that caught him in the background, and everybody in Scranton wanted to know why Jerry was at Grace Kelly's wedding. Amazing. He came home, and in 1957, he opened a little inn and tavern, bar and restaurant on a lake in Pennsylvania, where a few years later he met my mother. And in the 70s, when everybody got swimming pools and the lake business had kind of fallen off, and he had four kids now, they closed that up and converted it into our home, where my mother and three sisters still live. We were never close. When I was a kid and could get out of the house, I got out of there as fast as I could and stayed away for 30 years. I mean, Christmas, Easter, birthdays, calls, that kind of thing. Uh, but we were very different people. Dad, the first book Dad ever read was only about 25 years ago. I gave it to him for Christmas. And it was a book I would never read. He was very religious. And it was the story of Medjugorje and Mary's appearance there, because that happened. He believed it all, though. He definitely believed it all. I was 40 years old, and a stand of cherry trees on my farm had got killed off by the blight. And they seasoned real nice just standing, so I started chopping them down for firewood. And when Dad would come over, I'm 40 years old. This is my farm, my chainsaw, my cherry trees. Single parent. My son's wife left when he was 2. We hardly saw her after that for a number of years. And Dad was always there. He was always happy to take the boy, do something with the boy. But he would come over to help me with those cherry trees, and he wouldn't let me use my own chainsaw. It's a funny guy. 2017 was our last deer season. I mean, we hunted all kinds of things on the farm. I had a beagle named Lightning who would go for hours. We'd put her in the swampy ditch between the cornfields, and Dad would stand on one side and I'd stand on the other. And there were days that dog would chase out one rabbit after another. We'd go home with 20 rabbits between us. Last deer season was 2017 that Dad was able to go out. He shot from the truck, so he was inside, had heat. He could go back to the house if he needed to or whatever. Um, and he took down this enormous, big old 8-point buck, great big neck on him, a lot of meat. And my son got his first deer that season, a little spiker, but a clean shot. That deer never. My son's a great shot, much better shot than I ever was, more like dad. And that deer never even knew he was dead. That was 2017. Dad was 84. His last deer season out there. And he was something, boy. He was something. Right up until 2016, he was still climbing into tree stands at 83. Like I said, when I was a kid, we were not close. But in the last 15 years, boy, I really came to appreciate him. And the last conversation we had was on Father's Day, just a couple weeks ago. And the last words he had for me, and the last thing he heard from me, was "I love you." So wherever you are, Jerry, I love you. We're thinking about you. Thanks for everything, pal.